Hi everyone, we are back with a beautiful conversation between Ana María Caballero and Julia Staudach. Not so sure, is it?
You can just say Tschuuuly.
Julie. So Ana María Caballero is a multiple award-winning transdisciplinary artist. I'm sure many of you already know her and her work, but her work is actually exploring how biology and especially motherhood has an impact on social and cultural rituals. She's a recipient of major awards, including the Academy of American Poet Prize, the Columbia José Manuel Arango Nacional Poetry Prize, and the Beverly International Literature Prize. Ana Maria work has been exhibited at leading museums and galleries worldwide, like the V&A, Hague, Basel, and Times Square. And Julia, aka Tschuuuly, she is a digital artist and also the co-founder of Crypto from Austria. Since 2023, she has been the curator of the metaverse location of the Francisco Carolinum Museum, overseeing the museum expanding crypto art collection and on-site digital art exhibition. Ana Maria and Julia, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Diana. So, thanks everyone for coming. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Julie. Hi, everyone.
A pleasure to share this stage with you and talk about the project with it together.
Very much so.
So, we are celebrating. Last year, we've been celebrating 200 years of Anton Bruckner. You might be familiar with him. He's a very famous composer from Austria who has been known for his symphonies and lots of pieces he wrote for church. He was a deeply spiritual person. And since the company I work for, it's not only the Francisco Carolinum, but there's a bunch of museums and locations over Upper Austria, including the Metaverse location, which is listed as one of our locations on the list of locations, which I think is very cool because they really appreciate the Metaverse as one of their locations. Anyway, another location is Anton Bruckner's birth house, where we have a little exhibition of his personal belongings and also a bunch of letters that is left of his legacy. And one of these letters I picked because it's a proposal and it's very interesting and also weird to read, and it might explain a little bit why Anton has never gotten a wife. He was looking for love all his life, and he did several proposals, but he never managed to get a wife. So he was single all his days, and was good because he could focus on his music, and maybe another reason why he's so famous today. Well, anyway, we have these personal things, and we decided to make inscriptions on Bitcoin because the museum had been playing around with NFTs and metaverse exhibitions, but we've never done an NFT drop ourselves. So we decided to do it on Bitcoin because it's a novelty and we wanted to play with the medium. And we had great help of Ankura, who helped us get us in connect us, and also help with the technical part, which was very innovative. We have parent inscriptions, and it's like a family tree, basically. I'm not going to go too deep into the technical details here. I think Stephen is in the room with us. If you have any questions, go to this guy. He's the absolute pro when it comes to Bitcoin and ordinal inscriptions. So yeah, we have the parent inscriptions, Anna, the museum itself, and Ankara. Also, Anton's music, the leather, they are all part of this family tree. And the outputs we generated is 824 because 1824 was Bruckner's birth year. So we had to decide on a number. We picked that one. And yeah, we gave them away for free. So there was a huge interest by the community. People tried to get whitelist spots, and within very few minutes it was already minted out even before the public sale could start. Yeah, it was a pretty well received and I would say a feel-good project overall. The museum enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. I loved it. Yeah.
Yes, I really want to shout out Stephen Rice, who's here from Ancora, because it was thanks to him that the project actually happened. I read a poem in Berlin at the Generative Arts Summit last year, and thanks to that reading, he reached out and said, Ana, we want you to be part of this project. And to be honest, at the beginning, I was a little bit nervous, and I didn't think I could properly honor the legacy of Bruckner because I wasn't so familiar with his music. But then Stephen and Julia met with me and they said, no, we want you to lean into his personal letters. And then they shared the letter that Julie will read soon, and I was like, okay, I can work with this. You will see why. And we were really excited when Harto, who's here, a wonderful artist, decided to also join the project and visualize my poem. And my poem takes as its core concept the notion of musical and interpersonal arrangements, such as marriage, because Bruckner very famously rearranged his symphonies even after publicly presenting them. So I really thought that was an evocative metaphor for the tension between stability and fluidity in our arrangements in general. And like Julie said, we released 824 editions because the common nomenclature of the day was to forego the one. So he would have said that he was born in 1824. And it's a generative art collection, so each edition is absolutely unique and includes elements of my poem as well as musical notes and arrangements. And so I think without further ado, we'll read the letter from Bruckner and then I'll respond with my poem.
Okay, so imagine me being a 42-year-old composer from Austria. The letter was written in German originally. I abused ChatGPT to give us a translation, which turned out quite okay. I'll read it to you now. So imagine being a young lady receiving this letter from a person you hardly know. The young lady's name is Josephine. So the letter goes like this. Dear kind-hearted miss, not that I am approaching you, dear miss, with a matter that might bewilder you. In the conviction that my silent but constant waiting for you is already known to you, I take up the pen to trouble you. My greatest and most heartfelt request, which I here be there to address to you, Miss Josephine, is that you kindly and sincerely give me your final and decisive answer in writing for my future peace of mind regarding the question, may I hope and seek your hand with the approval of your dear parents? Or is it impossible for you to take the marital step with me due to a lack of personal affection? You can see, miss, that the question is of utmost importance. I implore you earnestly to respond as soon as possible, just as clearly and certainly, just as decisively. Please, Miss Josephine, tell your dear parents, but no one else. Please keep this as the strictest secret and make a choice between the 2 points I have presented in consultation with your dear parents. My loyal friend, your brother, has already prepared me for everything, and he will surely have already informed you according to his promise. Once again, my request, will you, miss, write completely, openly, and sincerely, and with absolute decisiveness, either I may court you or a total internal rejection. No middle ground, like postponing, rephrasing, as time is already pressuring for me. Besides, your feelings will not easily change as you are very sensible. You may tell me the pure truth without hesitation, as it will in any case provide me with peace of mind, awaiting your most prompt, decisive reply with a kiss of the hand, Linz, August 16th, 1866. Weirdo. So, and centuries later, we have a reply. We know, in fact, that Miss Josephine probably did not reply positively because he ended up never being married. So the much nicer reply comes now.
Anton, the next time they tease you about your proposal, tell them that in 200 years, your music still plays. Tell them that now, people arrange to marry through something called internet, which I guess is like an electric web, though more like a mirror and a peephole combined. Imagine Anton, my Puerto Rican friend, met her Welsh husband online. They have 2 tall kids and live in San Juan. And what's certainty in love anyway? You think you got someone mapped, then bam, a new obsession arrives. 4 years you've walked their streets, barely glimpsed odd signs that, like the dark wires of unlit public holiday lights, suddenly flash too bright. Anton, even you rearranged your symphonies. It's hard, isn't it, to go back? Always a chord we decide we don't like. Always a movement we want to rewrite. ¿Te salió bueno? A Mexican friend once asked. I laughed, then paused. Yes, I'm pretty sure he turned out all right. I just read one body of language to approximately 60 different bodies, which means that poem now exists in 60 or so different ways. In order to show the ways that readers and writers construct each other, I created a collection called 50 Ways of Looking at a Poem. So LeWitt told us that artists could create systems that could then create the art. I think human readership is a system that creates art. I invited 50 different people to read and annotate the exact same poem representing their experience of my verse through hand-drawn marginalia. Now, I think that these people were okay with reading and annotating my poem very much on the fly because it's a short love poem. The combined iterative interventions of this series represent the collective evolution of readership. This is an analog, generative system that creates meaning through human readership. I digitized all these physical, beautifully hand-annotated poems and hung them from a clothing line on a rooftop in Madrid and recorded a durational performance. The clothing line is a recurring motif in my work, representing the act of accessing the transcendental via the mundane, and then offered the digital poems as an NFT collection.
That all happened a little bit more than a year ago, and I was really pleased to find out that 5 of these NFTs hadn't sold yet. So to honor your collaboration, the museum did an acquisition and we bought the last 5 NFTs we have now in our Ethereum museum wallet. And thank you very much, Anna. Not only that we have these 5 NFTs, but you sent us by post 5 more of unannotated poems for us, the museum, to give to artists, curators, collectors, to annotate and add to our physical collection. So I even have one with me here, and there might be a person in the room that feels entitled, oh, wrong word, that is up for going deeper and annotate this and either document it right here or take it home and send it back to the museum wallet. So maybe someone is interested. Yay.
Ooh,
Quickly come and get it. And yeah, the only person that raised their hand. First come, first serve.
Is that Roger? Yay! Woohoo! Welcome to the collection.
And the plan that we have is that next year, during Ars Electronica Week, which always happens first week of September, we're gonna have We're gonna have an exhibition in Francisco Carolinum showing all physical, the 51st original ones, and the additional 5 ones that will by then have annotated by artists, collectors, and curators. That will be in connection with the museum. So I hope to see many of you next year in Linz, or maybe even this year. Ars Electronica is always worth visiting. It's always the first week of September. So yeah, we're planning to exhibit this alongside the digital versions in the metaverse location and the physical location, so that will be interconnected, as many of the exhibitions I make are always physical and digital, because in so many cases we have physical pieces and digital pieces combined.
And so I'm really excited that the museum not really only collected these digital and physical poems, but they actually collected the reading of poetry, and something that we often think is ephemeral, like the digital, right, maybe, and like poetry, now becomes materialized through this action that we're collectively taking together with Julie in the museum. And the physical poems really are so beautiful, and they belong together as an organism and really as a record in time that we're living now. As you saw, some really special people have participated, and now we have Roger Dickerman, who absolutely needed to be part of this series.
Thank you for raising your hand.
And so now, to close, we will I'll read the final poem, and if there's any questions, please don't be shy. Another airport poem. No, this is not about the sharing of caution. This is merely about distance and its reverse magnetism. About the slow winding of a week's time into the delicate tautness of a telephone line. About the opposite windmilling of willing hands, powered by the windward breeze that blows, however softly, on separate lands.
Beautiful. Thank you all. And we just noticed today that as well Anton Bruckner's letter starts with the no, and not that I'm writing you to trouble you. And this also starts with a no. I think it's a funny coincidence.
Definitely.
Thanks for your attention.
Thank you all. Thank you, Diane, and thank you, Art Meta.
Any questions?
Any questions at all? Oh, Shakti?
How do you view the role of the enjambment in tuned with your corporeality and with breath and its relationship to space, especially as you work?
Well, thank you for that very deeply thought question. I think that the way that language can look on a page is one of the few tools that we have as poets, and one of the few visual tools, right? So there's a real corporeality to the way that poets decide to lay out their words on a page. And another airport poem you might have noticed has the no right at the beginning. And that's very intentional because, of course, it's a poem about a long-distance relationship. And there is that foreshadowing, right? That sensing that this is not going to work out. So, physical bodies apart and the no on its own line work together to create that atmosphere.
I have an inscription question. So, are those the first poems inscribed on Bitcoin?
Actually, I haven't heard of any other before that. Maybe Stephen knows. Are we the first with poetry inscribed on Bitcoin, or is there a known project? I sorry, honestly can't answer the question because
I
haven't
think I'll
seen
have to
any.
pull Stephen aside after, but I think certainly the oldest, right?
Well, I actually inscribed a poem on Bitcoin. That was the first poem ever sold on Sotheby's. But I think even before that, which was January 2024, right at the beginning of last year, there have been people who have inscribed text on Bitcoin and poems.
Text, yes, but poems. Okay, interesting.
I think some people have inscribed.
Because the lines are blurry between like text
Yeah,
and poetry.
you have to then get into semantics of like how it's defined.
I think, like Oria Harvey said this morning very eloquently, we shy away from the notion of the very first. It's hard to sort of prove
Definitely, definitely.
So if there's no other questions, thank you again. Oh yeah, there's one more. You're asking me or Anna? I have an exhibition with Claudia Hart planned, which is opening on 27th of August in the Francisco Carolinum Lens physically, and some metaverse exhibitions in the making, which open soon.
I'm releasing an artist book, which is a physical book made actually of my old bed linens. Again, that act of accessing the transcendental through the mundane, but of course also has a digital component and combines ideas of machine-driven and analog generativity.
Looking forward.
Thank you all so much.